Good morning, Little Gym family. My name is Don Vogue, and I work for a company called Instaply. Instaply provides a text and messaging service to a number of little gyms across the country. And my video today is going to highlight our backend user interface, show anyone and everyone who might be interested in using our service how your customers will begin to text your business, and answer any questions that you guys might have, hopefully. So with that said, the current screen that you're looking at is one of our current clients, San Jose South. And you'll notice this little handy dandy widget at the bottom right-hand side of the screen that says have questions, text us. I've created a test account for this demonstration. And basically what happens is at this widget, if I click on it, it'll say have questions. I'll type in my question here, test demo, and then it'll ask me for my cell phone number. I'll pop that in right here. And when I hit send, they'll get a message that says, thanks for testing, and a team member will get back to you shortly. And then you'll notice this desktop notification that basically says I have a new text message. So when I open up our user interface here, you'll notice that my text message is on the left-hand side, bolded, which basically means that it needs to be answered. So when I click on this message, this is going to open up a center column that has every conversation this specific customer has had with your location. And in order to respond to that message, I simply jump into this little bottom tab that says message customer, and I'm going to write, thanks for playing. I can then include any type of emoji that I want. We have a enormous emoji suite, so pick and choose whatever you guys would like. I'm going to go with maybe the nerd face. And then secondarily, we have this little tab that's called canned responses. These are basically pre-populated responses to frequently asked questions that you might get. So if you click on this, it'll just immediately populate whatever text you've already added, so it'll save you some time from typing. And then finally, you can include any type of picture message or PDF or any other type of file in any of these text messages. All of our numbers are MMS capable. So by clicking on this little paperclip tab here, you can add any type of file to the message. And then when I hit send, surprise, surprise, the customer is going to get another text message. It's really that easy to basically train people on how to use the basic our basic system. But I wanted to show you some of the other features that really make this robust and a value to the little gyms that we work with. On the top left here, you can search any and all messages by specific number, name, or any type of keyword. In this case, I'll write booked, for example, to highlight all the classes that have been booked via the service. You can also send outbound text messages via this little icon that you see here. So most of the little gyms that we work with are using this outbound to let people know about class cancellations, maybe that they're overdue on their bill, or just to let people know that they're still interested in having their business. So by clicking this little tab here, you can simply pop in any type of customer number, like I'm doing right here, and it'll immediately open up a fresh thread that you can immediately send outbound text messages to whatever customer that you're referring to. Really, really simple, super easy. With that said, I'm going to go back to the message that I initially sent in. And this message here has another super valuable function on the right-hand side, which is basically what we call an invisible thread. This invisible thread allows us to make what we call metatags, which are basically identifying keywords that tell us what the actual conversation is about. So when you get hundreds of text messages from different customers, some of them are going to be sort of basic or non-revenue generating, like what time are you open today, or where's your location. But a lot of them are also going to be about people who are looking to book a class or a party or a camp. And in those conversations, we want to distinguish them by making a simple notation on this invisible thread that allows us to filter all of the conversations down to those ones that are potentially revenue generating. So let's imagine for a second that this conversation was about someone who's interested in booking a class. I'd simply write class inquiry and hit this little send button here. That's going to immediately populate a notification that allows me to basically distill all the messages into the ones that I want to follow up with. And again, the value of our service is simple. When someone calls your business and they have a great conversation with you about booking a class, but they don't put down their deposit, most of the stores that we work with will outbound call that customer back a day or two later. The problem with outbound calling is that when you see a random number on your cell phone, are you picking it up? Most Americans aren't. Conversely, 98% of all text messages are opened within 3 minutes of receipt in America, regardless of who the sender is. Why? Well, I can get a random number on my cell phone, and I'll open up the text message associated with the number specifically because I know I'm not going to have to immediately talk to someone that I may or may not want to. So what we find is that gyms that are using the outbound feature to remind customers or potential customers about their interest in booking classes or parties or camp, they're getting a much better response on that small, subtle investment. So priming that pump, so to speak, by making sure that you're delineating what the conversation is about is really going to help you with that process. Finally, at the top here, you can associate this specific user with any type of number or name. So you can pop in here, and I can edit this name at any point in time so that I'll have a more clear idea of who the customer is when they text me again, so that I can respond a little bit more personally. Finally, we have a little What's New tab here, which will populate any type of new additions we have to the software. And we've also got this feedback tab here. If there's any issue with the user interface, you're lagging, you have a bit of a problem, you can make an immediate comment here, which will be sent to our development team, which will have an answer for you, or hopefully a solution to your problem within 48 hours. So that's it with the UI. It's super easy to train, super easy to use. Any of your teams can be trained within 15 minutes or by simply watching this video and then following up with me with any questions they might have. That said, the backend administrative function for those owners or managers of little gyms we work with has a lot of other functionality. So at the top right, you'll see your name, this little 3-dot drop-down, and then the administration tab. If I click on this tab, it's basically going to open up, in this case, an aggregated account of all the stores that we work with. If you have an individual store, like for example, I'll just use test, it'll just populate a single store location, or if you have multiple stores, you'll obviously see all of the stores under your purview. That said, all of the icons that you see here have different utility. The first one is the edit store profile icon. When I click on this, it's going to open up the address of my location, but most importantly, the text-enabled number associated with my account. This number is incredibly important to socialize. So any type of email marketing campaigns, social media posts on Facebook or Instagram or other, any type of email signatures or in-store promotions or pamphlets that you might be doing, make sure you're popping in this number and letting people know that you're quote unquote text friendly. The more that you socialize this number, the more people are going to text with your business and the better off you're going to be. In addition, if anyone has a great conversation with you via Instaply and obviously wants to pick up the phone and talk to you immediately or put down a deposit, if they call this number, it's simply going to redirect to whatever number that you have listed on Google. So it'll redirect to your current store line. The next one that I wanted to show you here is Manage Employee tab. So basically, you can add any employees as many employees that you want to this account, so they can all have access to respond to your customers. You can invite them by simply typing in their email address and hitting send, as long as they have an @thelittlegym.com email address. If they don't have an @thelittlegym.com email address, simply send me their first and last name, and I'll create basically a fake account for them so that they can log into Instaply, respond, et cetera, et cetera. They just won't get email notifications about new text messages that are coming in. Finally, we've got this Edit Automatic Message tab and this Canned Response tab. This Edit Automatic Message tab is where all of the sort of pre-populated responses to the widget response or direct text messages live. The default is basically, thanks for texting the little gym of, in this case, Test Store. One of our team members will text you back with an answer to your question ASAP. You can obviously edit this at any point in time to make it seasonal or promotion-based or redirecting back to any type of promotions or marketing efforts that you're doing by simply editing the text, putting in what you want, and clicking save. Super simple. We always recommend keeping the widget message and then the direct SMS message the same, just from a uniform standpoint. And then finally, at the bottom here, we've got this outside of business hours message. This message is a little different, but it serves a really unique purpose. So right now, I'm going to pop in our previous message and just edit it a little bit. Thanks for texting the Little Gym Test Store. We're currently closed at the moment, but we received your text. And one of our team members will text you back with an answer to your question just as soon as we return. Now, if someone calls you after hours and gets your voicemail, the likelihood of them leaving a message is low. But if they text you after hours, we're going to go back to this little widget, and it's basically going to say, have a question, text us your question here, prompting them to ask their question before they get the response that says, again, we're currently closed at the moment, but we received your text message, and one of us will get back to you as soon as we get back in the morning. The value there is that you're never missing any inbound that comes via the text channel. You'll always have that question or that concern or that whatever in your UI. So you're never missing a potential customer's inquiry, especially as it pertains to sales. You can set up these working hours by basically clicking on this little blue tab here, popping in your hours of operation Monday through Sunday. The start time reflects the AM time when you're opening. The end time is the PM time, ideally when you're closing, and you can associate any day of the week with any specific time. So if I wanted to say Monday through Thursday, call it 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And again, this is in military time. I'd simply add that and hit save. And then again, anytime before 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday or after 5 p.m. Monday through Thursday, this message will populate. Finally, we've got this bank holiday insert here. If you have for days like Christmas or New Year's or any other full day where you know you're not going to be in the office, click on that bank day, pick a date, and then all day, in this case, January 18th, that message will populate, just giving your customers a real clear idea of when you're going to be back. Finally, we've got this canned response, these canned responses. The one that I populated earlier was a simple location one with a bit.ly link to our location on Google Maps. But what I would always recommend to all the stores that we're working with, especially ones that I've sent all of our best practice canned responses, read them, check them out. They are a treasure trove. And I'm going to use the Little Gym of Ashburn as a reference here. They've got a ton of canned responses. And just looking through and reading the ways in which they're using a multitude of canned responses is going to give you a really good idea about how varied text can be used to make your business more efficient. They've got birthday inquiry follow-ups. They've got Google Map links. They've got IB confirmations, missed classes, payment due. There's so many different ways to quickly text message people who are your customers to give them ideas or give them encouragement to book or give them maybe a little light slap on the wrist if they're overdue on their payment. All of those ways are going to save your team time and, most importantly, find a better and preferred channel to communicate with your customers. So I would definitely recommend reading through those and thinking creatively about how you can potentially add to this list. I'll wrap this up simply by saying the Little Gym is an unbelievable family, and the more that we can learn collectively about how best to approach this service and how best to improve the ways in which we're texting, it's just going to help everyone out, make everyone more professional, more proficient, and better businessmen. So with that said, please feel free to reach out to me with any questions or concerns or comments that you might have. I love working with the Little Gyms across the country, and I want to make sure I'm a resource to you in any and every capacity. So thank you for your time and attention, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Cheers.